Okay, here we go, Matt. All of my technical troubles are away, and I'm starting recording off the bat. I have not actually managed to watch the game full. It's been about 5 minutes getting all of my audio settings set up. So hopefully this is all going to work out. I'm very excited. Thank you so much for analysing my game beforehand. I'm very delighted to return the favour. So here we are. We're looking at your map. Forward berries, interesting. I like that you've sent all of your goats out to go scouting. Very handy to have your gold pocketed by a woodline here. Very nice. Liking your queuing, liking the constant production of villagers. Your scouting is excellent. I guess looking for your second boar at the moment. Oh, no, he's popped into view already. Handily over there next to your other sheep as well. We've got 7 on food with your chap going out to wood at the moment. Makes a lot of sense. You are playing as the Celts, as you'll want to do, and your opponent is... Well, what is your opponent? Your opponent... Lithuanians. Of course they are. Of course they're Lithuanians. Lithuanians, the civilization that you know extremely well. So you should know all of the tips and tricks to take advantage. However, I know the outcome of this game as you told me, so we'll just have to see what happens. Right, you've got a constant stream of villagers there going onto your wood line. Setting up your sheep really nicely. You've expanded a nice bubble of exploration. Just considerably drop behind in points on your opponent, which is interesting. I'm going to play it all visible for the time being. Nice house. It's a very tricky moment I always find in games, managing your house placement whilst also doing a boar lure. So how are we doing for villagers at the moment? We are even on villagers, and you're both keeping up production at a remarkable rate. Interestingly, I tend to leave an extra gap around the mills foraging so that the villagers don't go piling up on one another. That one square can make a lot of difference. It's just a thought. Oh, Scout has stopped moving. Probably just concentrating on some eco stuff. I see you're arranging all of your sheep at the moment and off to do your next boar lure. Now, knowing that you're playing against the Lithuanians, I wonder what... Oh, just passing. His scout's taken quite a bit of damage already. But the cheeky so-and-so has tried to lure your boar away. Well, that is a very meaty strategy, if you forgive the pun. And quick-walled you in with a gate. Well, okay, we have a bit of a try-hard on our hands here, as you try and get your boar back, yeah. Well, if you can snipe a vill while you're at it, but of course whilst you're fuffing about with all of this, you lose your house population, and yeah, the guy protects his villager. Well, that was some pretty sharp play from your opponent there, I'm not going to lie. But your boar has rolled back to your place, so fortunately you had your goats stocked up. That would have been very nasty if you weren't wise to it, so gotta say, really impressive that you managed to alert yourself to that and deal with the issue. This is a bit of the lull before the start of the feudal age, as you're finding good spots here to wall in. keep your boring. There's a lot of resources out over here. And some villagers that weren't queued up also go onto goats after their boar. Oh, a drush! It's a drush! Have you got loom? Yes, you have loom. That's good. He's going to go for your gold line, I guess. Get some intel on your base. And you are frantically trying to wall up as well. And you quick wall your gold in as well. Oh, I love it. I love to see it. That's very impressive. I cannot do that. I also like that you march your villager away from the militia here as well to keep him safe. And don't suffer too much idle time on your town centre. This was excellent, by the way. Really sharp. And rebuilding it as well. That's good. I mean, yeah, you're not going to want more than 3 up for a little while. Queuing him up going onto the gold after building that wall might have been an idea. Hello, Bill. Yes, that was a fine wall you built. Well done. Admire it. Admire the wall. And somewhat unsurprisingly, you make it into the feudal age before your opponent does. Oh, well, I've been completely ignoring what's been going on down here, where you've housed yourself into the wall line to protect yourself from the drush. Another fantastic strategy there. And I'm presuming you're building an archery range to try and counter the marauders that are entering your base. And presumably your opponent is, at this time, also constructing... Or are he is not. No, he's actually kind of not being particularly effective with his early raids. They've not taken much of a penalty on you, and it seems to have set him back in terms of progress. He's on his way to feudal now, but let's just check that all-important Vil count. In a second, yeah, figure out what the hell I'm doing. There we go. Oh, you're actually behind the villagers, I suppose, because you are going up through the ages. Stocking up your archers makes a lot of sense. I'd love to see you pile onto that scout, but that probably would have been a very... I say I'd love to see it. I don't think it would have been a very good move at all. Don't know why I say it. And I'm glad that you're taking the opportunity to scout your opponent's base whilst this has all been going on. I'm starting to think that this wall, and I'm kind of glad you abandoned it, because it's not really serving a purpose given that his direction of attack is over this hill. This hill's nastily placed for you as well, actually, thinking about it. I mean, a prime spot for a castle, perhaps. Finally getting a chance to have that boar. I love to see it. Second archery range as well. Got to start using it. Got these queued up. Now, he'll potentially have started to go into the skirmishers, knowing that you are going to counter his army with archers. But he's probably spent a lot of his resources just pushing himself into feudal age. Okay, interesting that you have just elected to not go for a blacksmith at this point in time. And yes, I can see why there's a slight panic here, but finally this scout dies, and a reserve scout is in straight away to try and take advantage of it. But you have a space advantage there. I enjoyed the micro there. Is she going to go down? No, she's not. I think you're going to have a scout victory then, but you are going to get boxed in. That's... Oh, and he takes it away with one... with... How upsetting. 1 hit point. So, it's just going to be a flood of scouts into your base now, I guess. In which case, out there. Well, there's your blacksmith. You really rushed that one out whilst those villagers weren't being used. The aggression we're seeing here from the Lithuanian player makes an awful lot of sense. Although as the Celts, I guess you could afford to do a similar thing. Yes, okay, so we've got spearmen coming in, but I presume you're going to just garrison them straight away. I know you're a bit low on the wood front, which you have correctly identified, whilst also simultaneously protecting the villagers, who are yeah, okay, so the militia are going to start to do some damage here, but they will fend them off long enough. So your archers should be coming down now to deal with the militia, or are you just going to go and take the fights to your opponents? I like it. I would have liked to have seen maybe just 2 of the archers onto the militia down here, but you can also keep them indefinitely fended off, so maybe that's actually the stronger play. You do also have some villagers here, but they seem to be set free. So, okay, the chap is patrolling with his scouts, and I love to see the micro. Oh, it's terrific. It's terrific, and he preemptively removes his exposed villagers from the gold. And a bit slow on the animation there for the archers, but this is extremely good. He's got right for the picking villagers here, which unfortunately don't go down as fast as you'd like to see, but very good. And it puts you on parity in terms of villagers, but you are clearly well ahead on military numbers. This is a great raid, and yeah, a bit vulnerable to the town centre there, which you correctly identify. Do you see? No, you don't see up there. That's so annoying. You could easily have gone and sniped at least 3 more villagers. Meanwhile, producing more archers, which, now that you've notified him that you're going into archers, but then again you've probably correctly identified that he doesn't have a archery range and cannot actually counter you. A tower on the line there, that's interesting. And garrisoning, so he can garrison people in and out of the wood line. That's some next level play. I hadn't even considered that before. So I don't know whether you won't clock that cluster of scouts coming, but it should be no issue for you. It may be. I'm liking how you're just dealing with this very calmly. I would have panicked and sent some villagers, some archers down here to deal with these, but your opponent has clearly forgotten about them. You do have 5 idle villagers at the moment, 6 though, so they're not doing a lot. Just passing. This is a fight that's not going to go well. Yeah, he didn't need to build skirmishes, I guess, did he? Because he could just counter your archers with an effective cavalry push. So, perhaps it's starting to look like you've overcommitted to archers here. Given that he has a relatively effective counter, you should perhaps be considering mixing up your army composition a little bit. Especially as you're always going to need the spearmen for your base. Again, we've still got some idle villagers trapped on farms here. I hope you're aware of the pop cap as well. I like that your opposition has built a sneaky woodland retreat. And you've got a villager building a wall down here, just to prevent against a surprise attack. Against what? That's exposed on this side. All of your gold miners are locked in. All of your lumber camps are locked in. A wall here might have been more effective. Or here. I mean, this looks like a very positive fight for you. You've successfully defended off this wave of attacks. However, your opponent is settling in economically, although you're very similar on the economics front, and you do have a military lead at the moment. You've got more kills, so you're fighting better. You're heading up to Castle Age. This is looking extremely positive for you at this point in time. And you're building a market to rebalance your resources because you correctly identified that you've got far too much wood, I'd like to see. There's a lot of archers here. 15 archers that are not being used. They could be peppering... What do you know? What do you know? You know enough to be able to sneak around and attempt to get in through this. Well, I still think that your fights are going better, your management of your troops has been better. I want to see these archers doing something, but I assume now that you have decided that you're going to wait until you get to Castle Age to upgrade them to crossbowmen. Which will certainly have a big impact given that, well, I guess the Castle Age is not going to be too much of an issue now because you're both going to reach it at a very, very similar time. I also like the defensive way you built your houses there. I'd like to see the rally points. Yep, also good. Means you're not going to be trapping your troops. Okay, so you're looking to funnel your opposition in this direction. In fact, at this point, you've created a pretty stable-looking base. Perhaps a little late onto the wood to get to the castle, and I presume the crossbow technology is coming in. And in that time, your opposition has managed to build up his wall. However, this group, and well, I'm glad you listened to me from the future and protected your archers with a better composition. I guess you're going to get here and see there's a wall and be mortally disappointed and just take it down. You're going to shred it like there's no tomorrow. And your opposition panics a little bit. He puts all of his villagers inside. Yeah, this is not what you want to see, is it? Rather large group of skirmishers, 15 skirmishers. I'm afraid your archers don't fare particularly well against these guys. But he's very much panicked. And yeah, the skirmisher research is coming in as well. He's done a very good job of protecting his troops here, and we're likely to see your army about to get utterly obliterated if you take this fight. Sniperville while you can. I liked that. Are you going to send them south? This is a very good play here, because he has to come out to protect his villagers here. And he successfully negotiates moving his villagers away. So I guess you're trying to take the hill so that you can have some sort of advantage, or are you just running away? No, you are going to try and do a last stand, but it's probably not. You are correctly identified that that is a fight that you weren't going to win. You've got critical mass, so I presume you're building a stable now to try and fight off these skirmishers with some light cavalry. Perhaps not. So he's chased you out and he has built his castle, so you should be looking to build a castle somewhere. Ah, so your choice is a mangonel to deal with the skirmishers, which is also a very wise choice at this point in time. So you still have a healthy villager lead at this point in time. You're still doing remarkably well with your efficiency. Knights are an interesting choice given they know that you have pikemen and the like, and your mangonel is just in time to lure these skirmishers in. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Please show me the goods. No, he successfully navigates them out of the way and sends in a knight as well, potentially to try and take out your mangonel. Ah, and this is where you attempt the forward push, leaving your mangonels horrifically exposed to the attack of the knight. which you do not deal with because you are concerned that your villagers are about to get killed by skirmishers. So you presume pull your villagers back. At this time you also have a colossal farm shortage and 8 idle villagers. But you thought forward siege workshops, we love to see it. All the while your opposition is strengthening up his laties over here. Latus. You put your second town centre down here. Overcommitted to food perhaps a little bit. So who's taking the worst fight here? I mean, if I'm him, I am more scared of your fight than what he has going on down here. This is kind of an annoyance. This is a problem. Interesting that you don't try to take out his eco, which is quite exposed here. And you see it as well, you see the town centre. I guess you're just concerned that he's going to garrison and protect. Yeah, this is a problem. Oh boy, is that a problem. This is where we see the micro coming in. One for one. Fair trade. He's done absolutely the correct thing here. Still very high. This is play at a level that I can only aspire to. Very nice on the house walling here. Perhaps difficult to get a villager on it to keep it alive. Oh, and the ladies getting inside your base is going to be an issue. A mangonel coming to protect them is not what we want to see here. We're going to need pikemen coming out of the barracks, but I don't see them. This could be crippling, especially given your wood line is now unprotected. So this game has really been about managing the fight on 2 fronts, which is a skill that eludes me still, this game. Both of the micros I have been very impressed by. I think your pikeman probably took a hit there. I'm guessing, and this is a problem because your mangonels are prevented from getting to the knights by the marauding knights and ladies. So I'm presuming there are pikemen aplenty on queue. Yes. In fairness, I didn't see when your castle started going up. I would have liked to have seen a defensive castle. This, given that your opposition has identified this channel as where he's going to attack. However, I guess it does afford you some protection by sending your villagers over here. Oh, we have a villager count. So, yes, that raid has taken its toll. Your villagers are down in numbers. I guess you're going for a second castle to put somewhere here. But you do currently have 20 villas. Bye-bye. Yeah, they melt. Oh, this could be brutal. This could be brutal. Because he's probably paying attention, not paying attention to this. And in the nick of time removes his units. Is it in the nick of time? It is in the nick of time. Meanwhile, you're doing an absolutely sterling job of attacking buildings that aren't posing you any threat, like a mill and one of 2 siege workshops. I guess this is because you are managing the fight down here, which is arguably a better use of your time. This is brutal. So, yeah, we're seeing kind of the skirmish and knights composition outclass your pikes and mangonel defense at the moment because of the increased mobility. Actually, at this point, does your opponent's ladies have any? So he's got 1 monastery. He's gone for a Woad Raider strike and stuck them directly under a town centre. Now, they're aggressive enough that was a deep strike strategy that semi-worked, but I'm not entirely sure this is worth it to chase for the kills here. So, your opposition is now booming extremely heavily, whereas you're having to repair from quite incisive strikes. I think, although... And now actually the combat tide has turned as well. Interested to see where you choose to put your second castle. I will be looking at this gap here and... Oh, what a woeful time for that to start going down. Oh, please let this castle go up. These pikes should be coming to help you, or some word raiders. Given that you've been hassled and harried by the skirmisher cluster for so long, I would have loved to have seen some scouts. Because, and we're seeing it again here, the combination of ladies and the skirmishers is just messing with your economy something fierce, and I don't see your pikemen surviving this either. Which has left this mangonel to just freely come in and attack you. Well, I presume these are people that you withdrew from your deep strike. These wave raiders are causing havoc, aren't they? I guess we will see the castle go up now. Are we looking at a university perhaps to help improve some things? Okay, so Wogue Raiders coming out of plenty now. At this point, your opposition's got more villagers, but he's got 12 idle villagers as well, so you're basically on parity, although he has just put them all to work. From my point of view, it's still a pretty even game. The back and forth has been extremely engaging. All the while you've been managing your economy very well. You know what this monk is up to. I feel like you should be protecting that relic, or even going to get the relic. Ninja Monk dodges the castle shot. Ah, that's a real shame. Do you know that this one exists? You don't know. Got a very narrow band of view. I would have actually probably, knowing that you're up against Lithuanians, just put some resource and time into scouting to find those relics, because that can make the difference in a game that's as closely balanced as this. Is your opponent going for a 3TC strategy? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay, so we've got 3 TCs. He's spread the net further. Oh, interesting, you've upgraded to stone walls. So, could have bought yourself a little bit of space, I guess, by perhaps walling up in a different approach, maybe through these tree lines. Although, I mean, it's not really territory worth writing home about, is it? You are also exposed here as well. There is a very easy channel through. Admittedly, it is, you know, protected by a castle, which is pumping out word raiders like there's no tomorrow. Oh, and you're on your way up to Imperial Age, whereas he is not as well. Interestingly, you both started researching forging at or cast iron. Yeah, iron casting. At roughly the same time, so that's interesting. Means that your combat is going to be similar. And interestingly, he is going in for a champion approach, or at least longswords, to try and take out your trash units, I guess, to rinse through your block of pikemen. Again, you've got a large group of people here that I guess are just waiting for the updates before you go for the deep strike. I would like to see some hassling with the mangonel with your forward siege workshop. here. As another relic comes in. So the calm before the storm, I think, here. They are aggressive as hell, aren't they? Also, a single monk could have helped some of your poor, lowly crossbowmen that have festering wounds recover. Strategically, having your army directly under your castle here, where then you're not being attacked, I don't know the value of this positioning. Maybe on top of the hill, maybe over here. Could certainly ward off an attack like this. But again, I don't know what attention you're paying to things. How are we looking on the build count? So your opposition has boomed like crazy at this point, and I suspect that this is where the tide of the game has turned. Those strikes have just set you back too far economically, and a pincer movement has been attempted. I did not see these ladies coming. Yes. Well, you successfully scare them off, but I guess this is where the wall attack into your territory begins. The pincer movement was a great idea, and I like this. Screw your attack. I'm walled in. I'm going to deep strike your base through the little hole over here, and I think we're just going to see a lot of Word Raiders die here, aren't we? That went better than I thought it was going to go for you. And getting this cluster in here to raid amongst the farms, or even the wood line, is a very good use. So naturally, they attack the farm, because that's what we need them to do. Meanwhile, the walls are going down, but it's not really a problem for you. If these long swordsmen do get in, it is a problem. And so we're seeing defensive bases coming, and is that a wall being built by? Oh no, he's just sending villagers out. Interesting. So what happened to your Word Raiders? Yep, they have continued to kill the farms, not the farmers. They do realise that it is the farmers that pose them the threat, not the farms. The food is piling up. We could see some units being queued here, and the long swordsmen have broken through. It's going to be a massacre. It's going to be an utter massacre. He's going to spread them out amongst your farm areas, and it's not going to go well for you. Whereas your Word Raiders are not threatening in the slightest up here. Yeah, this is going to be very difficult because you do not have a home guard to defend against this. And of course they are now two-handed swordsmen. And this eco disruption is enough. I mean, these probably aren't making it out alive, but then maybe so aren't your villagers here. It's a bit of a gauntlet for this guy to run his troops through, given that they're going to die anyway. I would have actually just set them on villagers, because what have they achieved now apart from wandering along, getting absolutely obliterated by your tower defense setup? But in come the trebs. The game reaches its final stages, but they are exposed trebs, and you have an opportunity to take them out here, which unfortunately you can't take. But the fight is a good one to take here. This should go extremely well for you, and your opponent correctly identifies that he needs to get the hell out of there. The Word Raiders are going to be a very good deep strike unit against the trebuchets here, but again, the back and forth continues. Wow, this game is fantastic. I am loving it. I really am. This is so good. You've been hemmed in. You're fighting the good fight. Your villagers are idle as all hell. Meanwhile, your opposition is getting close to double the amount of vills, and I think we know what that means in Age of Empires. That is a snowballing scenario, and the armies are just getting bigger and stronger, harder, better, faster, as the punks would say. And this is where we're going to need to see some trebs of your own, but this is looking like a lethal army right here. 30 long swordsmen, 200 swordsmen, probably going up to champions now. Yeah, they are indeed champions. I don't see your elite road raiders lasting against them, but the fight is on, and it's relatively even. And this is an amazing hit. These onagers are doing some damage. Oh lordy! No, no, no! Come on, come on, come on! Yes, come on! Oh, but the champions are going to take it down, aren't they? This castle placement is excellent, and I would actually have liked to have seen some of the techs for improving castle HP, the hoardings tech, and maybe a university. Where is your university? I know the Celts aren't that scientific, famed for their prowess in science, but it could have made all the difference having 10% extra building HP here. But I assume all of the resources are being soaked up by this guy, and I'm afraid that this is not going to have the effect you want it to. It's an absolute bloodbath there. I feel perhaps caused mostly by your onagers. I would like to know how many you killed. This game is still remarkably even, but you just don't have the eco push. And given that we're now up to 131 villages on this side, and perhaps starting to go over the hill on the eco side, it's just going to be wood. There is a patch of gold over here that he probably hasn't spotted. And a trebuchet of your own. Okay, interesting. And a town centre in a position that doesn't really gain you anything. Meanwhile, this is probably what ends up being the killing blow. A stable, trash hussar rush. I'm looking to see how your raiders do here, though. All I know is that I would have been out of this game so hard already. Well, this is a good strike, but the populace, the Lithuanians, is expendable at this point onwards, I believe. So I think we're looking at a decisive victory was scored perhaps when the castle went down, and this is rather unfortunate. All of this siege and all of this, because I imagine the siege is going to get spotted, and this gap that hasn't been plugged has been taken advantage of. I would have liked to have perhaps seen some buildings here. Maybe a couple of stables. Well, this doesn't look like it's going to go particularly well for the Lithuanians here. But it's probably distracting enough, and there are going to be hordes and hordes of them coming in. So at this point, can you even attack with that group? It's possibly an overcommitted group because you have 5 onagers and 3 trebuchets that are sat there doing nothing. Meanwhile, he has 1 trebuchet, which is infinitely more valuable than all of your siege because it's doing something and you're doing nothing. However, the onagers could probably pose some serious problems to this cluster of troops, which I'm looking forward to seeing. Alas, they go for the ladies first rather than the trebuchet, and it goes down. And some reserves come in. So at this point, I actually believe your opponent has perhaps overcommitted to villagers, having next to double yours. Although perhaps the more important count here is that you're actually only utilising 60 of your villagers, which is 100 less than what your opponent could be utilising. The combat in this game has been remarkably even, though. I mean, it is a proper back and forth. But we have the full end game scenario with a unopposed army to attack here, built up from this forward centre, with the villagers finding the, well, supposedly finding the extra goals to just finish that final push. And alas, you are out of gold. So into the base you go, I think, as a final push, knowing that this is the last use of your precious resources. And that 1 champion is probably going to cause untold damage to you. Oh no. Oh. Think about what all that gold could be doing in terms of producing troops. I mean, you have hung in remarkably well here. I guess because although he has the economic advantage, you can muster a bigger military and you keep taking fights that are advantageous to you. I mean, you are killing at a 10% better ratio, and we're having your trash units are killing off expensive units, so the efficiency's good there. Well, hello, we're up to siege onagers, and we have a relatively aggressive castle given the battlegrounds here. I'd probably like to have seen it push around here from him. And your aggressive line has been defended very well. And the castle is abandoned or destroyed, which I think is very much a... You punished a poor play there. I'd love to see your Woad Raiders get onto these villages right now. This is the time to push. This is the time to take this castle on. Again, there's just a horrible gap here, which is exposing you. And even these 4 hero halberdiers can't take on that many hussars. Well, you did as I said, and the results are delicious, if not, I guess, just freeing up population space for your opponent to use his stockpile of resources to build more army. You've suffered intolerable villager losses. You've done a remarkable job with the limited resources, but And the Hussars have pulled back because he knows that he cannot fight 31 of your finest halberds. And those pesky skirmishers finally bite the dust. And a poor fight is taken. With little pressure on there as well. But you've been enclosed into 33–40% of the map at this point, and you decide to start taking the fight to the forward base. I mean, if you could push this forward base away, it certainly would remove some of the threat, but you are flat out of any valuable resources, so you are resorting to trash units, but you cannot conceivably build your resources fast enough to keep fending off the waves and the waves of the economics powerhouses units. And it's a shame because you have out-combated your opposition here, but I think you're paying the price for some early incursions into your base, and this game punishes you for events like that. These champions are going to shred. Ah, that was a heroic last stand from that particular chap. And at this point, I think you're close to giving up because villagers aren't really doing anything. You're trying like Billio to create more and more villages, but you're probably losing them as fast as you're building them. And we're looking at rams starting to come through soon. Sacrificing the monks to make some more pop space there. That's a play. That's a play indeed. I got to hand it to you on your stubbornness here as well. Your never say die attitude. It's amazing when you can come back like a phoenix from the ashes. Also astonishing that this gold in your base remains unmined. I didn't realise that. That actually could be a route back into this game. That +8 attack. That is astonishing. And still a relic down here. Oh, hello. Hello. That's 36 elite ladies. That does some damage. Your town centre has stood extremely strong in this time. Your units have been well protected, your castles have fed you well, you survived the loss of the castle that was over here very well. But all those villagers that you painstakingly produced to try and get you back in can't last it, and here we have a cluster that is going to cause serious damage. Maybe until it counters these guys. Or second company. But even then, I'm not entirely sure what you can do against such a stacked attack. And this probably harks back to what I said at the start of the game, which was you needed to get some relics. You know that the advantage applied onto them, onto the Lithuanians, that is, that extra attack because of the held relics. And the superior numbers. And the castle goes down as well. can't answer Trebuchet. Because your trebuchets are too busy trying to take out these castles. These trebuchets are going to take out your trebuchets. This is looking like a killing blow right here. Although, I must admit, I have said this is looking like a killing blow a lot of times. I love that I'm not going to let my trebuchet die. Villagers there. What a heroic moment. Well, that was something. You can hold your head high after that game because you played remarkably well, but my goodness, it was an attritional war in the end, and with lots of back and forth. But I think we knew that the game was the tide had turned probably from that loss of your first castle, and the fact that that wall never went off. Wow, I'm impressed. Let's just have a look at the stats. So, unsurprisingly, you held your own when it came to the military, and perhaps also unsurprisingly, the economy is way up there for your opponent. What we're looking at here, you actually managed to get more buildings as well, and you have similar army sizes. It's very interesting. That's a very balanced military, which I still think that you had the edge on, but this is also telling almost twice as much gold, twice as much wood, twice as much food. You should have been flattened faster. And very aggressive use of aging as well, which definitely gave you an advantage in some of the fights. You just had the chance to make the upgrades and really punish those lack of upgrades. But just didn't get a chance to get up to sort of a critical mass on the economics front. Look at 100 maybe. But yeah, we can see the kind of the back and forth throughout the game, but the slow, inevitable push at the end there. Well, that was super fun. I look forward to doing this again.